welcome back to Elite Literary Book Group. I'm Rachel Beck, and I'm going to continue with the court scene. I'm on chapter 18, and it starts with someone was booming again, Mayella Violet Ewell. And you see, if you remember from the earlier chapters, what her brother was like. So this is the older sister. This is also someone who has to take care and be like a mother to her siblings. And so when Atticus talks to her, you see that he really is trying to show the jury what her life is like, what this girl is like. So think about, why would he want to do that? Why is he, it's almost like he starts off trying to get them to sympathize with her, because she's 19, but she's still kind of like a child, and in a way a very underdeveloped person, because she hasn't had education and she hasn't had enough nurturing in her life. There's things that you can tell socially are definitely off, but maybe even morally too. You know, that she just she hasn't been exposed to any kind of learning of maybe even right and wrong, you know. So she first testifies. She says she was on the porch, and she's already kind of scared and starting to cry, and the judge doesn't have any patience for children anyway. Says, what's the matter with you? What are you afraid of? And she pointed at Atticus. Mr. Finch? She nodded. Don't want him doing me like he did Papa, trying to make me left-handed. And he asked her, how old are you? And she said, 19 and a half. And he assured her that Mr. Finch is not here to scare you. If he does, then that's what the judge is here. And Scout whispers to Jim, has she got good sense? You know, so that's kind of part of it too, is just figuring out, who is this girl, you know, who's accusing this man of rape? Is she credible? That's a good question. And this is something that ethos, like when you learn logos, pathos, ethos, I find the students always have trouble with ethos. And over the last few years, if you look at, you know, what I consider propaganda all the time on Twitter and stuff like that, credibility probably isn't talked about enough. About, is this, you know, the way, if you think about the way Atticus conducts himself, that builds his credibility. Mainly because he isn't, as you'll find out, he's not mean like Mr. Gilmer. That's not his style. He's polite to everyone. In fact, when he does it with Mayella, she thinks he's mocking her. You know, he's calling me Mrs. I don't have to take that. And just as he calls everybody by this name. But see, she's not used to being treated that way. So she already thinks that she's going to be made fun of by him, because she already feels inferior and very intimidated in this situation. So, like I said before, Atticus is just trying to get around to getting a good picture of who she is. But before Atticus's cross-examination, I should probably say a few words about, or maybe read a little bit of what Mr. Gilmer's is doing. So he's getting her to just tell the story, and she says that he comes by the house, and she asked him, her father had asked her to chop up this chiffero, which was like an old dresser, and she wasn't really feeling up to it, so she asked Tom Robinson, and she points him out for the jury. She says, I said, come here, nigger, I've got, bust up the chiffero for me. I got a nickel for you. He could have done it easier enough. He come into the yard. Before I knew it, he was on me. Just ran up behind me. He did. He got me around the neck, cussing me and saying dirt. I fought, hollered, but he had me around the neck, and then he hit me again and again. Did you scream? Did you scream and fight back? Reckon I did. Hollered for all it was worth. Kicked and hollered as loud as I could. Then what happened? I don't remember too good, but the next thing I know, Papa was in the room standing over me hollering, "Who done it? Who done it?" You said you fought him off hard as you could? Fought him off tooth and nail? I positively did. Are you positive that he took full advantage of you? Mayella's face contorted and she said, he done what he was after. So at any rate, now Atticus comes in, and this is where he sort of is trying to build up this kind of person to see, is she credible? What is her life like? And he starts this by saying, you know, are you the oldest or the eldest? And she said, yes. How long has your mother been dead? She said, I don't know. Do you go to school? Read and write as good as Papa yonder. Slowly I began to see a pattern of Atticus's questions, from questions that Mr. Gilmer did not deem sufficiently irrelevant or immaterial to object to. Atticus was quietly building up for before a jury a picture of the Yules' home. Miss Mayella, said Atticus, a 19-year-old girl like you must have some friends. Who are your friends? The witness frowned as if puzzled. Friends? Yes, you know, like anyone near your age or older or younger. Boys, girls, ordinary friends. And then Mayella's hostility, which had subsided, was grudging up again, and then she's saying, are you making fun of me, Mr. Finch? And then he asked a different question. Do you love your father, Miss Mayella? Love him? What do you mean? I mean, is he good to you? Is he easy to get along with? He does tolerable, except when? Except nothing. Atticus says, except when he's drinking. And he's always drinking. So if you think about the friends question, and Scout points this out, that Mayella might be the loneliest person yet. You know, we have all these people who are alienated kind of from society. And you think about a teenager girl who doesn't have any friends and doesn't have any boyfriends, doesn't have any kind of romantic outlet. And Tom Robinson is a good-looking man. So what Atticus is trying to show is that, you know, it really wouldn't be that unlikely that she would be trying to befriend Tom Robinson. I mean, she's the one who keeps asking him to come in and do something for her. She obviously feels very comfortable around him. So he starts to get to the point with his father about, has your father ever hit you before? Has he ever, you know, abused you? And finally she says, he's never touched me. And so now he says, okay, well, we've had a good visit. And what were you trying to get Tom Robinson to do? And she said, a shift robe, an old dresser. Was Tom Robinson well known to you? What do you mean? I mean, did you know who he was? Did you know where he lived? And she conceded that he passed by every day. And then he asked her, did you ever ask him inside before? And she says, no. And Atticus, of course, knows she's lying. Didn't you ask her? Because in a way, she already has given that away. About this is something that, you know, is normal behavior. And then so she says, I might have. And he says, can you remember other occasions? No. All right. Now what to happen? She said, you were in the room, you turn around, Yes. And he got you around the neck, cursing and saying dirt. Is that right? That's right. Atticus' memory has suddenly become accurate. You said he caught me and he choked me and he took advantage of me, right? That's what I said. Do you remember him beating you about the face? The witness hesitated. You seem sure enough that he choked you. All this time you were fighting back, remember? You were kicking and hollering. But did he beat you around the face? Mayella was silent. She seemed to be trying to get something clear to herself. And he says, it's an easy question, so I'll try again. Do you remember him beating you around the face? No, I don't recollect if he hit me. I mean, yes, he hit me. He hit me. Was your last sentence your answer? Huh? Yes, he hit me. I just don't remember. And then she kind of she realizes she's been caught up in this lie, and it makes her panic, just as lying does. That's why a polygraph works. So then he tells Tom Robinson to stand up, and he stands up, and he can tell when he's standing that one arm is kind of almost like a dead pose, and it's shorter, so it's you can tell it doesn't work, that he can't use his hand. And it comes out that he got his hand caught in a cotton gin, and it tore all the muscles loose. So Atticus, looking, she can see him, his gait, and he says, that's the man who raped you? And she most certainly is. Okay, how? You said that he did this, he did that. What you didn't say was that he went right behind you and knocked you out or anything like that. Obviously the way that this sounds, it definitely sounds like it has to be a person who has two working hands. But Mr. Gilmer is going to take that as the defense of, well, you're certainly strong enough to chop up this wood and do that. Don't you think you're strong enough to do this? And Tom Robinson says, I've never done anything like that. But you're strong enough to, right? Okay, so I'm jumping ahead. But one thing is very clear. When Atticus is very, he's aggressive in his questions as he kind of gets going. One after another, where she can't remember, one event from the other event, because it's all becoming very hazy at this point. And finally she says, you want me to say something that didn't happen? No, ma'am. I want you to say something that did happen. Now, if she was saying what did happen, she would be much calmer about it. But it's frustrating to try to remember and not catch yourself, from lying when you're making up a story. So, he keeps throwing questions at her. You testified you turned around and there he was. He choked you. Yes. Then he released you from your throat and he hit you? I said he did. He blackened your left eye with his right fist. I ducked. That's what happened. You're becoming very clear now. For a minute you couldn't remember. All right, he choked you. He did this. And so every time he just keeps repeating her words back to her, she actually gets more confused. And then that's when she has an outburst, when she says, I got something to say and I ain't going to say no more. That nigger yonder took advantage of me. And you fine, fancy gentlemen don't want to do nothing about it, then you're all yellow stinking cowards. Stinking cowards, the lot of you. Your fancy airs don't come to nothing. Your Miss May Ellen don't come to nothing, Mr. Finch. So immediately this turns back to, I'm feeling inferior. I'm supposed to be superior to him. And so it's sort of like the Ewells feel very trapped right now. And they don't have any real friends on their side anyways. She's just reminding also, like her father did, that I'm, this poor victim, and that rich lawyer over there, he's not really rich, is taking advantage of me because I'm not as educated. And that's what's going on here. And the problem with that is sometimes it works. And so people will very easily maybe dismiss the obvious to say, that elitist is taking advantage. And then, it's very tricky because you're dealing with people who are also part of the community. The jury is also flawed. They know what they want to believe. They know what the outcome that they want. So something as little as that can help. Also, something that Tom Robinson says, with the best intentions, backfire on him too. So at any rate, after that outburst, they needed a break. And I'm not sure how long, but I think I'll make a separate video for this other one because I don't want to rush it when Tom Robinson is on the stand. All right, so I'll talk to you later.